The fatal mistake. Humanity's wrath awakens. The Xerax Empire had ruled the stars for centuries. They were not the most intelligent, nor the most technologically advanced, but they were the most ruthless. Their empire had expanded not through diplomacy or scientific progress, but through fire, destruction, and fear. They had crushed hundreds of civilizations, leaving only ruins behind. They took what they wanted: resources, technology, slaves, and left nothing but ash in their wake. For the Xerax, war was simple: attack, conquer, destroy. Their latest target: humanity. And that, as history would later record, was the biggest mistake the Xerax would ever make. The Xerax arrival. The doom of Colony 5. The Xerax first appeared near Colony 5, a peaceful human settlement on the outer edges of space. It was a place of progress, a beacon of human expansion beyond the solar system, a place where families built new homes, where scientists studied alien worlds, where farmers tilled the soil of an untouched paradise. The Xerax invasion came without warning. The sky above the colony darkened as dozens of Xerax warships emerged from hyperspace, their massive black hulls blocking out the stars. The sheer scale of their fleet cast an oppressive shadow over the land, like a storm brewing on the horizon. Then the attack began. Orbital bombardments rained from the heavens. Buildings crumbled. Fields turned to fire. The ground itself split apart under the sheer force of the Xerax weapons. Their warriors landed soon after, towering creatures with obsidian armor, razor-sharp claws, and glowing red eyes, cutting through human defenses like blades through paper. The people of Colony 5 fought back, but they were not soldiers. They were scientists, farmers, merchants, families. The massacre lasted less than a day. The Xerax left nothing but smoldering ruins where once stood one of humanity's proudest colonies. A warning had been sent, but it was not received as intended. A message to Earth, and the last words of the dying. Amidst the chaos, as Xerax soldiers cut down the last survivors, a single desperate transmission was sent from the colony's emergency beacon. It was short. It was raw. And it would soon become the spark that ignited humanity's fury. They are here. They are killing everyone. We need help. Then, only static. On Earth, in the heart of the United Earth Defense Council, UEDC, the message was received. Every leader, every general, every scientist sat in stunned silence as the words of the dying echoed through the halls of command. Then, another transmission followed. This time, it was from the Xerax themselves, a message not of negotiation, but of supremacy. The screen flickered, revealing the monstrous figure of Supreme Commander Zalor, the ruthless leader of the Xerax Empire. His voice, cold and cruel, sent shivers through the room. Humans, you are weak. Colony 5 is gone. Surrender now, and perhaps we will let some of you live. Resist, and your entire race will be erased from history. The transmission ended. The room remained silent. Then, General Elias Carter stood up. The human response, the birth of a nightmare. General Elias Carter was a veteran of many conflicts. He had seen war, fought in battles, led troops into the depths of hell. But this was different. This was not a war between nations. This was not a battle over land or resources. This was extinction. And humanity. Humanity did not kneel. He clenched his fists, his voice steady, but filled with quiet rage. They think we are weak. His words cut through the silence like a blade. They think we will kneel. He turned toward the President of Earth, his eyes filled with a fire that had not burned in centuries. They have made a mistake. A fatal mistake. The President exhaled. What do you propose, General? Carter's response was instant. We fight. We don't just defeat them. We erase them. The room erupted into action. A war unlike any the galaxy had ever seen had just begun. Operation Nemesis, humanity's answer to genocide. Humanity had never been the aggressor, but we had never lost a war. And now we would show the Zirax what it meant to awaken the wrath of Earth. In the underground bases of Lunar Command, the most powerful minds of humanity gathered. Generals, scientists, strategists, engineers, hackers. A single glowing holographic map of the Zirax Empire hovered in the center of the war room. At its head stood General Elias Carter, staring at the enemy's strongholds. His voice was calm. This is not just a counterattack. This is extermination. The gathered leaders nodded. The Zirax had given humanity a warning. Now it was time for humanity to return the favor. A weapon of extinction. The air razor bomb. The Zirax believed they had already won. After all, they had crushed hundreds of civilizations before. They assumed Earth would surrender, just as so many others had. They assumed wrong. The brightest human scientists had developed something that had never been used in war before. A weapon so deadly, so absolute, that its very existence was classified above nuclear warheads. The air razor bomb. A device capable of erasing an entire planet from existence. One single bomb, one single detonation, and the Zirax would no longer exist. Dr. Alan Reeves, lead scientist of the ERA's defense program, stood before the gathered leaders. "We have one chance," he said, voice grim. "If we can get this bomb onto their homeworld, Zirax Prime, the war will be over before it begins." Silence filled the war room. Then General Carter spoke. "Then we make it happen. The Ghost Squad, the mission that will change history. A mission this dangerous required the best of the best." And so, the Ghost Squad was formed. A team of elite human warriors trained in stealth, sabotage, and space combat. At its head, Commander Ryan Hayes, a soldier who had spent his entire life in the shadows, leading Black Ops missions that never existed. He had lost family on Colony 5. This war was personal. Standing before the gathered leaders, his voice was calm. "I will take the bomb to Zirax Prime." His team stood behind him, silent, deadly, ready, "and I will make sure it detonates." The room went still. Then, Carter nodded. "Then may God help the Zirax." The mission was clear. Steal a Zirax warship, infiltrate their homeworld undetected, plant the air razor bomb in their capital city, escape before detonation. But there was one problem. No one had ever infiltrated a Zirax stronghold and survived. The clock had started ticking, and the fate of two species now hung in the balance. The silent infiltration. Humanity's shadow war begins. The Zirax Empire, rulers of countless systems, conquerors of entire species, had never feared an enemy before. They had crushed civilizations beneath their claws, leaving entire planets in ruins, their populations reduced to either slaves or whispers in history. To them, war was routine. Another planet, another species, another inevitable victory. And they believed humanity would be no different. That belief had already cost them Colony 5. Now, it would cost them everything. Ghost Squad. The mission that will change the galaxy. Deep within Earth's hidden lunar command base, Ghost Squad stood in silence, preparing for the most dangerous mission in human history. Each soldier in this room was the best of the best, a hand-picked team of Black Ops operatives, trained in stealth, sabotage, and deep space combat. At the head of the team, Commander Ryan Hayes stood, his sharp eyes scanning the holographic projection of Zirax Prime, the heart of the Empire. Their objective was clear. 1. Steal a Zirax warship. 2. Infiltrate the Zirax homeworld undetected. 3. Plant the air razor bomb in their capital. 4. Escape before detonation. A suicide mission, if any of them were caught. But none of them planned to be caught. Hayes turned to his team, his voice steady and calm. "We are ghosts. We are the reapers in the dark. We are the last thing the Zirax will ever see." His team nodded silently. They knew the stakes. They had all lost someone to the Zirax. They weren't fighting for revenge. They were fighting to erase an empire. The first strike, stealing the Zirax warship. The Zirax believed they had already won. Humanity had not responded. No retaliation. No counterattack. The Zirax had mistaken silence for surrender. But silence was exactly what humanity needed. In the outer edges of Zirax-controlled space, a Zirax warship drifted alone, patrolling an abandoned sector. A single ship, too small to warrant attention. It was a mistake. And Ghost Squad was about to exploit it. A shadow in the dark. The stolen human stealth ship drifted through the void, completely invisible to Zirax sensors. Inside, Commander Hayes and his team moved like shadows, each dressed in adaptive armor, their weapons suppressed and lethal. The mission had to be perfect. They had one shot. The stolen vessel drifted closer, aligning with the warship's docking bay. Engaging breach clamps. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. A silent hiss filled the air as magnetic grapples latched onto the Zirax warship. A moment later, the docking hatch opened. Ghost Squad stepped inside. The silent execution. Zirax warriors were stationed throughout the ship, but they never saw it coming. One by one, guards fell, their throats slit, their bodies dragged into the shadows. The Zirax were tall, strong, and deadly, but they were not silent. They had never fought an enemy that could kill without making a sound. Within 7 minutes, the bridge was secured. Hayes stood over the lifeless body of the Zirax captain, his pulse still steady, his expression unreadable. Control secured. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Mara, their hacker, worked fast, overriding the ship's security protocols. We're in. The ship is under our command. Hayes exhaled. Step 1 was complete. Now, the real mission began. Approaching Zirax Prime, the Lion's Den. The stolen warship glided toward Zirax Prime, its clearance codes still intact. Zirax air traffic control scanned it without suspicion. To them, it was just another patrol ship returning home. Inside the warship, Ghost Squad remained hidden, every movement carefully controlled. If the Zirax even suspected something was off, the entire empire would be on high alert. Mara monitored the comms, her fingers flying over the controls. No red flags yet. They're letting us through. Hayes nodded, eyes locked on the viewport as the planet grew larger. Zirax Prime was a fortress world, covered in massive black cities, surrounded by thousands of defense platforms, and guarded by an impossible fleet of warships. It was a world built for war. But Ghost Squad wasn't here for war. They were here to end one. As they descended into the capital's atmosphere, Hayes activated his comms. Everyone, get ready. This is where it gets real. Landing among the enemy, the hidden threat. The stolen warship landed smoothly in one of the capital's docking yards. Zirax officers approached, inspecting the ship. The squad held their breath. One Zirax warrior, taller than the rest, ran a scanner over the hull. For a moment, it paused. Hayes' finger tightened on the trigger of his silenced rifle. Then, the scanner beeped green. The Zirax warrior grunted and moved on. Inside, Mara exhaled. We're clear. We're in. Hayes didn't hesitate. Move. The hatch opened, and Ghost Squad disappeared into the heart of the Empire. A city of darkness, infiltrating the Zirax capital. The capital city of Korthar was a sprawling nightmare of black metal towers, floating surveillance drones, and patrolling war beasts. Ghost Squad moved through the shadows, avoiding security checkpoints, navigating the alien streets like they had been born there. Their destination, the Zirax Command Center, the heart of the Empire, the place where they would plant the bomb, and ensure the Zirax never rose again. But as they neared their target, Mara froze. Her scanner flashed red. Her eyes widened in horror. "Commander," she whispered. Hayes turned. "What is it?" She swallowed hard. They're building something. Hayes frowned. Building what? Mara's voice was barely a whisper. A planet killer. The squad stared in stunned silence. Because if Mara was right, Earth was already doomed. The planet killer. A race against time. The mission had changed. Ghost Squad was prepared to sneak into the Zirax command center, plant the air razor bomb, and end the war before it truly began. But now, the Zirax weren't just preparing for war. They were building something far worse. A planet killer. A weapon so massive, so destructive, that a single shot could erase Earth from existence. Humanity had always been the underdog in this fight. Now, they were running out of time. A new target, destroying the planet killer before it's too late. The mission was already impossible. But now they had to infiltrate a top-secret Zirax military facility, disable a superweapon, and still plant the bomb, all before Zirax forces realized what was happening. Commander Ryan Hayes took a steady breath, his mind racing as he assessed the situation. His team looked at him, waiting for orders. He could see it in their eyes. They were ready. No hesitation. No fear. Just focused determination. That was why humanity always survived. Hayes gave the order. Change of plans. We take out the planet killer first. The facility. A fortress hidden in the shadows. Mara hacked into the Zirax security grid, scanning for the location of the weapon. Her fingers flew over the controls, her expression tight. Finally, she found it. Coordinates locked. It's in a heavily secured facility beneath the capital. No direct access, but I can get us through. Hayes studied the map. The facility was deep underground, hidden beneath a fortress guarded by elite Zirax warriors and automated defense systems. Getting inside would be a suicide mission. So they'd have to do what humans did best. Improvise. The infiltration. The art of war. Ghost Squad moved through the alien streets like shadows, silent and unseen. The Zirax had no idea they were already inside their walls. Using stolen Zirax security clearances, Mara led them through restricted zones, bypassing checkpoints and surveillance. At a heavily guarded gate, Hayes motioned for his team to stop. Ahead, dozens of Zirax soldiers stood on high alert. No way through. Mara's voice whispered in his earpiece. I can overload the power grid. It'll kill the lights for exactly 7 seconds. That's all you get. 7 seconds. Hayes nodded. Do it. The lights flickered, then went out. And Ghost Squad became death itself. Silenced weapons, knives in the dark, choked screams. When the lights came back, the guards were gone. The humans had already moved on. Inside the beast, the planet killer revealed. The entrance to the planet killer facility was built into a massive underground cavern, a Zirax military stronghold. Ghost Squad crept inside, sticking to the shadows. And then they saw it. A monstrosity of metal and energy, stretching for miles beneath the surface, its core pulsing with unimaginable power. A weapon designed to do one thing: erase planets. One shot, one world gone, and it was almost complete. Hayes' jaw tightened. We blow it. Now. Mara scanned the controls, her expression dark. It's too late to just shut it down. They've already started the activation sequence. We need to overload the power core. Hayes didn't hesitate. Plant charges. We end this now. The sabotage. Humanity's wrath unleashed. Ghost Squad worked fast, placing explosive charges on key power relays. The planet killer's core was enormous, a swirling vortex of pure destruction, growing brighter as it built up energy. The Zirax planned to fire it soon. They didn't know they would never get the chance. Mara set the detonation countdown. Charges armed. 5-minute timer. Hayes gave a sharp nod. Move. Now. The squad turned to leave. And that's when the alarms went off. The escape. Fighting through hell. The Zirax knew. They knew something was wrong. Heavy doors slammed shut, locking down the facility. A deep, guttural voice boomed through the loudspeakers. Into Uriudioras DTHCTED. Seal the chamber. Kill them. Then, the Zirax warriors arrived. Dozens of heavily armed soldiers stormed in, weapons raised. And Ghost Squad opened fire. Bullets met plasma. Explosions shook the ground. The humans were outnumbered, outgunned, but never outmatched. They fought like demons, weaving between cover, dropping enemies one by one. Hayes ripped a plasma rifle from a dead Zirax, firing back in controlled bursts. Mara moved like a ghost, hacking security panels on the fly, disabling turrets and opening escape routes. The air was thick with smoke, fire, and death. Then Mara shouted, "The charges are about to blow. We need to go. Now." The explosion. A new sun is born. Ghost Squad raced for the exit as alarms screamed across the facility. The Zirax pursued, firing wildly. The humans dove for cover, returning fire as they sprinted toward the last escape tunnel. Hayes looked back just in time to see the charges hit zero. Boom. A blinding white light consumed everything. The planet killer detonated from the inside out, its core collapsing into a swirling firestorm of raw energy. The explosion ripped through the facility, tearing apart metal, rock, and Zirax warriors in an instant. The ground shook violently, the cavern walls caving in. Ghost Squad barely made it out as the entrance collapsed behind them. And just like that, the Zirax's ultimate weapon was gone. Earth was safe. For now. The final step, delivering the killing blow. Ghost Squad didn't stop running. The Zirax would be in chaos. And now, it was time to finish the mission. The Zirax Command Center, the heart of the Empire, was just a few miles away. And that's where they would plant the bomb. Commander Hayes checked his gear, reloaded his weapon, and looked at his team. They were exhausted, wounded, low on ammo. But they were still standing, still fighting, and they weren't done yet. He nodded once. "Let's end this." The squad moved forward. And behind them, the ashes of the planet killer burned like a second sun.